If I told you, if I told you just half of everything I've always wanted to.
Welcome back, Camily. If you've been keeping up, you know that over the last few years I've been on this huge journey of self-discovery. I've put a lot of effort towards just really finding myself, who I really am, what I like, what I value, what I care about, what really matters to me. And I've come a really long way. I can vividly remember a conversation that I had with Landon just a few months before he passed. We were both just in this place where we were questioning our path so far and where we were and where we wanted to go. And we were both just really, really struggling in life. And I remember just telling him, like, I feel like no one and nothing. I feel like an empty shell of a person, which is surprising that I got to that point because I've always been someone with a pretty big personality and a pretty strong sense of self. By middle school, I had already started to come into myself and really embrace who I was in all my weirdness. And in that, I kind of separated myself from everyone else because I felt so different. And I started to reject everything that I deemed to be basic. Very much in a like, oh, I'm better than you because I don't like basic things and I actually have taste. And a lot of my self-identity was kind of rooted in that attitude. And I slowly shifted away from like who I really was and embracing that to just being like anti-conformity. And sometimes when a lot of people like something, it's because it's actually good. And I was like, oh, I don't like that thing. When I really did, I just didn't want to like it because everyone else did. So yeah, I really had this like individuality complex and it really didn't serve me well. But it was what I had at the time and what I clung on to. And that really put me on the outside of everyone else. And even though I had convinced myself that I didn't want to be on the inside, to be popular, to be accepted, deep down it did kind of hurt to feel like I was so different. When I became a mom, I realized I needed to grow out of that mentality. And for the first time, I just wanted to be normal and to fit in, to be like everyone else, even though I really wasn't and I never have been. But I just completely went on the other end of that spectrum and went even further from my true self. Because one, I was tired of feeling different, and two, I just kind of thought as a mom I had to be a certain way in order to be deemed a good mother. But after a few years of putting all of my self-identity into being a good mother and a good wife, I really lost who I was. I pretty much had no self-identity left. And then after losing Landon, I felt as lost as ever. The little bit of self-identity that I was clinging on to, that was as his wife and being in that enmeshment, that was taken away from me. So really all I had left was, I am a mother. I felt like in social situations I couldn't even function or relate in any way. And I just knew I wanted more for myself than that. So I started to rebuild myself, this time doing so as authentically as possible, embracing my differentness, but not just for the sake of being different, for the sake of being true to who I am. And I'm still working on it, but I have come a long way. So much so that pretty much everyone in my life has told me at one point, Cameron, you are so different now. In the best way, and we love this version of you. It seems so true. It's like the Cameron we always knew was there, but had just been suppressed. And that meant a lot to me because I wasn't even sure if anyone would like the real me. And some people don't, and that's okay, because I'm not for everybody. But the people I have in my life who love me, they really love me. So today I want to share what I did to get to where I am. It's a very abstract idea, finding yourself. What does that even mean? So I want to explain exactly what I did in order to build a stronger sense of self. Therapy has been my best resource during this self-discovery journey, so that's why today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you're struggling, you're not alone. It can feel really impossible to manage your mental health when you don't even know where to start. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. so you don't even have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's network of over 20,000 therapists. That gives you access to help that you may not have available in your area. You just fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Then you schedule secure video and phone sessions. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages and everything is completely confidential. You can request a different therapist with no additional charge at any time. My therapist, Greg, he really helped me figure out who I am outside of just being a mom. So many people use BetterHelp that they're currently recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with BetterHelp. Get 10% off of your first month at betterhelp.com/Cam&Fam. Again, thank you BetterHelp for being today's sponsor. Now let's get into the steps that I took after finding a great therapist. The most important thing that I did on this journey, and the thing that I've really clung on to that's guided me this whole way, has been to sit down and really assess my values and my morals. And that means letting go of other people's values and other people's morals that I've taken on as my own that don't align with what I actually believe. We're told so many things as we grow up from so many different people and so many different systems in our society. Our parents and church and school, and we take this all in without even realizing the way it affects us. How much of ourselves we're putting into these ideas, these beliefs, without even second guessing, do I actually believe this thing? And for me, it really took tearing that all down and creating a new value system. And again, that's a very abstract idea. Like, how do you actually do that? I ended up getting an actual list from my therapist, and it was just a bunch of different words. And he had me go through and say which of those words stuck out to me as something that I valued. It was things like honesty and respect and selflessness. And in evaluating that list, I realized some of these things just really aren't important to me. Obviously, they all hold some level of value. None of them were inherently negative, but some of them I'm just like, that's not really all too important to me. There's certain things I value above other things. And so those top tier values are what I really live my life by. And so now when I go about living my life, I'm confronted with certain situations or certain beliefs that other people are putting onto me. And I often have to ask myself, does this align with my values? Do I believe in this? And my value system has just really helped me stay true to my sense of self. Just knowing that that is all me, that is what I believe. And having that to cling on to has really helped with my confidence. I trust in myself now, I believe in myself. And my values and my moral compass are always going to be what I turn to in a time of difficulty. The next thing was to assess my strengths and my weaknesses. I used to really struggle with looking at my negative traits and putting all of my self-identity into that. And that really led me to feel like a horrible person and like I was just doing a bad job at living, being alive, making decisions, trying to do my best, when I was only looking at the things that I didn't like about myself. So my therapist had me make a list of what I deemed to be my positive traits and my negative traits. And then after I made that list, they asked me to look at it with a more neutral outlook, without saying that this thing was positive and this thing was negative. Instead, when looking at the negative things, instead of seeing them as like my bad traits, see them as things that I would like to work on, and recognize that those things can change and they aren't me. They're the way that I've learned to respond to situations based out of my own insecurity. A lot of them were just straight up trauma responses. As somebody that has gone through trauma, when something reminds you of that trauma, when it triggers that, you're automatically put in this state of survival, even if it's not relevant to that situation. And you start acting out of those trauma responses, these survival instincts that are meant to protect us and maybe have protected us in traumatic situations in the past, but in the now and in that instance isn't helpful and is more harmful. So I had this long list of things I hated about myself, and just reading it, I felt so bad. I'm like, yeah, I cannot even function. I'm so insecure. But to recognize where those traits came from in the first place and knowing I could change them and grow out of them, that really shifted my perspective on things. It helped me to not fully identify with all those traits, and instead to identify with all the things I liked about myself, all the positive traits. And my therapist said to me, that's your leg to stand on. As you're trying to change these negative traits that you don't like about yourself, use this list of positive traits to see the good in yourself and to see I am capable of good things, and to really just see the positive more than you see the negative. It's a simple concept, and I'm not the first person to say that, but really writing it down and looking at it and then seeing it from a more neutral, less of like an all or nothing type of view, that really helped me to develop a more positive sense of my self-identity. The next thing that I did, and that I still actively do every day, is to always give myself credit where it is due. And that slowly builds so much confidence. Every step of the way, I've looked at how far I've come and given myself credit for that. And I'm actively proving to myself how capable I am. And it's hard at first, but it's something that builds and builds. The more you prove to yourself your capability, the more confidence you have, and the more that just builds off of itself. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'll sit down and I'll look at my to-do list, and the 1 or 2 things I didn't do, I'll sit there and ruminate on it and be like, I feel so unaccomplished. I didn't finish everything. I didn't do these things. They still need to get done. And I used to just sit in that feeling and feel bad about it. But now instead, I look at what I have done, and I just tell myself, like, it's not like I've done nothing. I have this to show for, and even if it's not a lot, I still give myself that credit. The next tip would be to recognize when you're truly happy. When you're sitting in a moment and you find yourself just beaming and you're inspired and you're fulfilled and you're just happy, try and recognize what it is that's making you feel that way and write it down. And before you know it, you have a list of things that make you really happy. And that just really helps to build gratitude and just a general enjoyment for life. Because when life is really hard, it's easy to sit there and be like, wow, this kind of sucks. And you tend to forget about all the good that's out there, all the things that make you really happy. And soon you're going to realize that you're starting to seek that out and find happiness and notice the joy in little things that you just never really paid attention to before. So that exercise is really helpful. Kind of on a similar note, take time to develop your hobbies and your interests. As I talked about, when I was in middle school, I put a lot of my self-identity into that, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to put all of your identity and your personality into liking certain things or having a certain hobby. But it does really help with having a greater sense of self-identity, especially if it's stuff that you do genuinely like. I've always loved music, but recently I've gotten really into it, and I've just started to find bands that just really mean a lot to me. And when I'm going through a hard time, I'll put on a certain album. And to just know that I have that and to connect with that piece of art in such a way just really makes you feel human. I'm a really creative person, and I value art very highly. And so to me, that's a huge part of what life is about. But find that thing for you. Find what really fills you up to identify yourself with. And in taking the time to invest in that, invest in your self-discovery, invest in your hobbies, invest in learning about your interests, that's you taking time for you. You're not doing that for the benefit of anyone else but your own soul. And just the simple act of having that me time, that just slowly helps you build yourself up. The next step would be to practice being your authentic self no matter who's around, which it takes a while to get there. I think it's really important in the beginning phases to sit with yourself and really pick apart the things that you need to pick apart. Assess your values, assess what you need to work on. Those are things that you need to do on your own, by yourself. But as your confidence starts to build and you really start to figure it out, practice expressing that. And that's going to be easier with the people you're closest to. And then hopefully it'll start to just naturally shine through in everything you do, especially if you're actively aligning your life with your authentic self in all aspects. Eventually it won't be something that you have to try and express. It will just be your being, and your energy will just radiate in all directions, and people will start to recognize it. And there's still certain people where I find it hard to be myself around, but I do it anyways. Because if they can't accept my authentic self, if they don't like it, if they don't see the value that I bring, then I don't want to give them my energy, or at least too much of it. The next step would be to let go of what you no longer identify with. As I said, your positive traits, the things you like about yourself, even if that list is small to begin with, that's your leg to stand on. And as you become more true to who you are, hopefully that list will start to grow and grow, and you'll notice more things that you like about yourself. And those things are actually like very true and real and authentic. They're not things that you think other people would like or traits that you wish you had. It's just you being you at your very best. And as that grows, you really have to start making room for it. You realize what parts of you aren't you and you let go of them. Even if it once was you, even if it's something that isn't inherently good or bad. If it's just not you, you let it go. And that's the thing, is that there's no final goal in this. There's no end to it. We're always evolving. We're always changing. Our self-identity is going to grow as we grow. So along the way, there's going to be a lot of things you need to let go of. And the final step is to learn how to not let external factors have an effect on what you've built for yourself. Not letting anything else interrupt your peace. Not letting other people's opinions affect who you are and how you choose to express yourself. And that's definitely easier said than done. Whether we realize it or not, everything around us has some kind of effect. And if we're not aware of that and cautious about it, it might cause us to stray from our authentic selves. So just be aware of other people's energies and what they're bringing into your life. And I'm not saying to cut people off if they are just like bad vibes. Sometimes you just need to learn how to tolerate certain things and to just not let it have an effect on you. I've come to a point where I know that I'm gonna be me no matter what, and no one's gonna come in and interrupt that or change that. I value myself too highly to allow that to happen. And all I could hope for you guys is that you get to that place too. Because once you find that inner peace, you protect it at all costs. And sometimes that means making the harder, better decision. I'm constantly finding myself being like, it would just be easier to go down this path and make this decision. But I know what's right, and I know what's better for me, and I know what I need to do to protect what I've built. It's really crazy how far I've come. Again, I'm just constantly finding myself sitting in this space of gratitude, and it's easy to get wrapped up in life sometimes. And after how far I've come, I kind of forget that it's ever been any different until I look back on the whole process and where I was when I started. And with that just comes this wave of gratitude. And again, just giving myself that credit. I've really come a long, long way, and I'm so much better for it. And my daughters are so much better for it. And I'm so happy that I get to be the one to hold their hands as they go through life, to help nurture them in their own ever-evolving self-discovery. I feel like when we're kids, we are our most authentic selves. We just don't always have the tools to protect that, to not let outside influences affect our self-identities. So one thing as a parent that's really important to me is making sure they always stay true to themselves. And for being 4 and 2, they have such strong personalities, and it would break my heart to see their bright personalities start to dim because of the outside world. Because looking back on my life, I can pretty much pinpoint when that happened for me. So I just hope as their mom, I can provide them with the tools they need and the self-confidence to just be them. That's all for today's video. I really hope this was helpful to you guys. I know that there was a point where I really needed to hear it. So I hope this finds you at the right time where you can really be receptive to it. If there's one thing that you take from my videos, I hope it's encouragement to just be you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Cam&Fam.